influence is the key for you to be part of the C-suite agenda. As leaders live in the world of number, data, analysis, and that's their power, right, for making any decision. And it's very important to have this power to influence. So I'm sure when you show data with results, business has no choice but to accept your proposal, right? Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. It's no secret, friends, you have a purpose and you have the highest potential. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. So dream big, truly believe in it, and achieve it 100% to live the life fullest. And I want to join hands with you on this mission to learn and grow together, to engage, enlighten, and empower. Yes, this is solo episode of your host Jyoti G on Stars of Learning podcast. Let's begin. Hey friends, I'm so glad that you are joining me today, and today I'm talking about a topic which is close to my heart as I have seen exponential success following it. So, are you ready to hone the strategic leader traits? So, friends, before we deep dive, let's understand who is a strategic leader. So, from the definition from Google, a leader who has the ability to visualize, plan, lead, and make the best out of the resources they have to execute their work efficiently and successfully. Yes, and I also believe one should also be adaptive, someone who is both resolute and flexible, persistent in the face of setbacks, and that's important. And the strategic leader who is able to react strategically to the situations, who is able to influence and marry their strategic plan to their strategic management would be the key selling point to be a strategic leader. Is that making sense to you? So let's understand the role of a strategic leader. So let's look at the traits or a characteristics or a features or a qualities to be an effective strategic leader. First and foremost is a mindset. Okay, and strategic mindset to see that bigger picture and build that kind of a culture in his organization or wherever he is. I was going through few research on this particular topic and I realized there are a few main traits of effective strategic leader. That is, he has to anticipate, challenge, decide, interpret, align, learn, and that will lead to his superior performance. And what's more important is applying all these skills at once. And not that I do today anticipate and challenge and tomorrow I'll think about deciding and aligning and learning. No, that's not possible. If you are playing a strategic leader role, you need to effectively show all these traits all at once. Sounds difficult, right? Not at all. It can happen simply by following few frameworks, friends, and I have done that successfully. So get ready to be a strategic leader and hone that traits. So to begin, let me ask you a few questions so you have that more clarity why you need to get into this kind of a zone. As a leader or as an individual, do you have a following competency to run the show successfully? And even if you are not a leader, it is a good start to start thinking in this direction to move up the ladder. So my first question is, do you know what are your objectives or your organization's objectives? Second one, are you aligning your approach and processes to support these objectives and aligning to business objectives? Does your CEO or the head of the business think that you are contributing to the business goals? Last but not the least, friends, how about metrics? Are you good at data analysis and measuring ROI? and that's return on investment, and it's a must to have this kind of a trait. If you are having any doubt on any of the questions, then start reworking on your approach to your work. As a L&D head, I learned it's important to influence the management on bringing the learning culture as an integral part of the organization. And I realized influence is the key for you to be part of the C-suite agenda. I was focusing on employee development and growth, and that was part of their agenda. I'm sure you will agree your objectives, your goals will be directly linked to your function, existence, your role, and career enhancement. So you should also focus on what is that one big thing you're going to influence your management, which will make an impact to the business or your career or overall success of the project or for the organization. And that should be the aim. Is this interesting, friends, for you to deep dive? So let's move on. In fact, even I was initially struggling as a leader to make this shift, even though I had the capability, and that is when I came across Simon Sinek's the Golden Circle concept in one of the leadership program I attended, and I was thinking that framework was so lucrative that I thought I should apply this formula in our training function. And as I started using it, I felt that this is applicable in all walks of life and just not only for the organization or somebody doing the business. From learning and development point of view, I discussed the same with my manager, who was the chief people officer, and he told me that this is what the top management would be keen on. And he also guided me that I should be focusing on creating that kind of an experience for people, and we should always look at bringing results to business while we design any of the project, any of the innovation we are planning for the benefit of the organization. So I didn't stop there. I strike the similar conversation with the technical leaders, business leaders, and I drew the similar line, and I realized they are also using the same strategy to make an impact for their function, or to influence the CEO, or to get the buy-in from the clients, or to motivate employees. So if you know that leaders live in the world of number, data, analysis, and that's their power, right, for making any decision. And it's very important to have this power to influence. So I'm sure when you show data with results, business has no choice but to accept your proposal, right? So what did I do as a pilot? I applied this framework in one of the projects using the three main components of Simon Sinek Golden Circle. And I was super successful, and the result was phenomenal with this strategy. I had shared this approach with my team members also and few of the L&D practitioners, and they are also seeing the desired outcome by applying this framework. Now I can confidently say that this framework is not only applicable in the business context, but it can be applied to any industry, department, entrepreneurs, students, and it is working well with most of my clients I coach, as they get clarity and they are curious to make such an impact, and they are able to apply it in their all walks of life. So isn't that interesting to move ahead in this traits? So now you must be wondering, what are these components and how to apply this strategy, right? Yes, the three components are why, how, and what. And in that order only, friends. You need to ask yourself in anything you do. And it will look simple to you when you hear these three components. However, when you answer to these questions in a thoughtful manner, you will see a deeper meaning, and you are adding value that you will be creating by going through this process. And again, I repeat, this framework is why, how, and what. And in that order only, you need to do the intervention in any of the projects you are going to start. So let's begin with why. Why is your core purpose and belief, and you need to be clear with why you need to begin this project, and this helps in making any decisions going forward. So if you are a student and you want to crack an exam, then you need to clear on why, right? Why this exam for me? Why I'm pursuing this particular course? You have to have that clarity. And if you are a business owner and you are looking at a product launch, you need to know why this product and what is your core purpose and belief if you plan to build this product. And if you're an individual and looking for a career progress and choosing a particular company to join also, you need to ask this question why. So why this company? Why this kind of a role? So only then you will be able to move forward in the right direction. So what did I do in one of the projects? The first and foremost important action as in heading the learning and development function is to hone that business mindset. And I tell this to my team members also to own the project like they are owning the business entirely. And that has worked well for me. And what I brought in the process is the Deming model. And that's an effective approach to know your why, how, and what status. This really helps, friends. So let me explain a little about Deming Cycle, and it has 4-letter acronym called PDCA or PDSA, and the new version now is OPDSA. You might have studied this during your college times. So P stands for plan, D for do, C for check, and A for act. That's PDCA, plan, do, check, act. And PDSA stands for plan, do, study, act, or adjust. And the new version is OPDSA. O stands for observe, plan, do, study, or act and adjust. So when you get into Simon Sinek's Golden Circle principle, right, you need to ask the question why you want to do the project or whatever you are doing. To answer this question, this PDCA model or a PDSA model will help you. So to begin, planning. You need to have planning, right? So P for plan. You need to identify aspects and impacts by implementing your goals or objectives. And the next step would be do. D for do, which means you need to implement the plan, including end-to-end execution. How are you going to execute? What are the measures you are going to take? How are you going to do these projects? Followed with C, that is check, or S for study. How would you do that? How would you check? How would you study how the project is going? It is by monitoring, measuring, assessing the effectiveness of the project. You can also do reporting and checking the results time to time and analyze even the opinion or a feedback from the decision makers or the clients. And based on result, the last step is A, and that is you need to act on it and adjust your whole overall plan. That's the last letter in PDCA or a PDSA. So act on what changes are required, and you may need to make that adjustments based on the check you made. So this will help you to decide if any changes need to be made or is there any corrections we need to look at. You need to look at bringing in another option, and your overall approach should be to improve the process, and aim also should be on a continual improvement while working on PDCA or a PDSA model. And the intent is not to fail the project, but improve it with a continual improvement. And why am I saying this model? As I'm a process oriented person, and PDCA model is an iterative science based design. It's a management method used in business and for the control of the project, how you are executing, and for the continuous improvement, as well as it is a data driven with improvement methodology, which has helped me turn the plans into action and connect that action followed with learning and with success on your overall project. And that's the end result, right? And that's what we should be looking at. By the way, friends, this needs an extra effort. You there or you're not there, people will know how you have executed the project. And this helps when you go through this process to talk to key leaders in the system and focus on the main business objective, the project plan, the problem statement, what you started with, what is the strategy you are planning to achieve these goals. So you will be in a better position to explain on what is your contribution as an enabler in the overall business plan. And during this process, you must highlight on continual improvement in the overall approach. Plus, end result, what are you trying to drive by going through this model? So, business needs to see value in whatever you do. So, for example, when you question on why, you have to go about looking at getting the data on identifying in which stage the project is. Maybe at an initialized stage, or a stabilized mode, or an optimized mode, where it is. And you also need to understand the organization or a product, what it is, understand the financial implications, revisit the competency, which is very crucial to execute any of the project to move ahead, right? You need to analyze the skill gap needed for the project and your end result, and you should have that complete idea on why. Thinking in all of these terms, only then you will be able to execute whatever you had planned seamlessly. Making sense? Now the next phase is on how. When you are clear with why approach, only then you will be able to move to the next step, and that is how. Now you need to play a pivotal role in powering on how, as you will put these concepts and apply your strategy in creating value for your clients. So you will start aligning to what all you have identified under why with a focus and on how to execute and make an impact. So you will have clarity on how to onboard the project plan, how to connect with the right partners, how to involve the right stakeholders, how do we do the execution design, how do we get the right budget, how do we look at the necessary approval coming from the business, and the overall plan. So when you are working on how, your mindset will be like a consultant with a solution oriented way to a business problem. So friends, you will be able to do a right intervention in identifying the skill set required. You will also be able to do a gap analysis of people competency, sourcing right vendors or people to be in that part of the project. You will also seek expert advice for execution. You will collaborate with relevant stakeholders, and what more, you will also be ready with plan B, plan C, or alternatives, because you are following the PDCA model there. So if plan A fails, you will also look at cost implication, business buy-in with necessary approval at all levels would be your strategy when you ask the question how. Interesting? Now the final stage of the golden circle by Simon Sinek would be on what. What you do. Most of the time we would begin with what, but in Simon Sinek principle, you will focus on what at the end stage for executing the project. So with the golden circle, you will now have clarity on inside out approach, and you will start building that connections on why and how you are doing it. You will be adding value to the business and for overall organization success. So please note that why has a way of creating that connection with the business and the people who are your key customers. And what is the approach at an operational level, and at this stage you are creating value for that particular project. For example, what would be your marketing and branding strategy? What are you going to build connect for? Who are your relevant stakeholders? How are you going to do the briefing to the project team? What would be your messaging and positioning or your overall plan? And you will also look at what is your experience, and do you need experts insight in specific model. You will also discuss on corrective action and preventive measures, and metrics on how you're going to measure, and that too in detail. And please note that how will show you the on how you're going to measure in detail, and this is how it will show you the needle moving up, and that is important when you working on what component. Makes sense, friends? So I covered Simon Sinek principle on why, how, and what, and in that order only. And I also brought in Deming model here of PDCA or a PDSA or a OPDSA, which stands for O for observe, plan, check, study, act and adjust. So friends, my final thoughts is take charge as if you are owning the business, and communication is the key when you're executing the project, and being consistent is very important. So your purpose should be the experience you will create for the people who have engaged in this project, and your outcome should be the value you're bringing to the business. So friends, go ahead, as now is the time to earn your seat at the business table. I would say nothing will change unless you change, and you should drive your energy to create that kind of a mindset and make people understand process definitely needs to be reimagined, and technology will just fuel that, it will make it happen. So friends, to conclude, Simon Sinek says that people don't buy what you do but why you do it. So embrace this insight as an opportunity to rework on your strategy, starting with why, and focus on how to upskill, reskill, and parallel skill, and understand what is required at a board level. Create that experience without losing focus on the objective, and making it more personal, engaging, as you're going to create that unique opportunity to gain visibility as a strategic, proactive, innovative leader in whatever the projects, in whatever the assignments you're doing. And I can guarantee that because I have seen the success path in this way. Again, my lovely listeners, would love to hear your views and wisdom on your approach on honing strategic leader traits and executing it in your project. Please feel free to share your thoughts by leaving a comment, so I know how you have approached your traits. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I'm always grateful for everyone who tunes in, listens, subscribes, and have left reviews of my podcast on iTunes. By the way, if you have not done that yet, that would mean a world to me. Head over iTunes, and I would be happy if you take a moment to rate and comment if you got any value or learning listening to this podcast. Do share this amazing information to help many others to engage, enlighten, and empower. Thank you once again for joining in, and I'm your host Jyoti G, signing off from Stars of Learning podcast. Thank you.